Hey, Ohana family, welcome to your Conscious Living program. My name is Devin. This month, we're talking all about the theme of balance. And we could interpret this in a lot of different ways, but basically, the 4 weeks of this program, we're actually going to be looking at balance from the perspective of energy. So, if you recall, last month, we talked all about the divine feminine and we explored these different qualities of this phrase that we're hearing a lot these days, the divine feminine. And so, as a bit of a refresher, the divine feminine is in all of us. So it doesn't matter how you identify as a man or a woman or whatever your identification is. We all have feminine energy within us. Okay, and the feminine energy is essentially our yin energy. It's lunar. It's soft. It's all about creativity, nurturing, healing. Like all of these qualities that we kind of innately understand to be feminine. We all have them. Okay, and that's one side of the equation. The other is, of course, the divine masculine. And so these two forces actually work together. We have the divine feminine, we have the divine masculine, and we all have both inside of us. On the other side, right, the divine masculine is what we intuit as our masculine traits, our masculine qualities. And again, this is not connected to sex. So basically, a masculine quality is action and doing and thinking, logic, reason, form, loyalty, resilience, right? This kind of firmness. And so the divine masculine is just as important as the feminine. When we talk about balance in the lens of this conscious living program, we're talking about bringing both the divine feminine and masculine into harmony, into balance with each other. And the reason why we're having this conversation is because just in the collective, we're currently experiencing a very significant imbalance. And what that looks like is the divine masculine. We won't even say the divine masculine necessarily, we'll say masculine traits have really infiltrated our daily way of life. Okay, and what I'll say before we go any deeper is that the masculine is not bad and the feminine is not better. They're both equally worthy and equally necessary to live a balanced life. It's just that what we've found is that masculine traits are really dominating. They're a little bit overpowering at the moment. Okay, so if you imagine, it's like the masculine is up here and the feminine is here. So our last program, we talked about the fact that the divine feminine, the rise of the divine feminine, is about bringing that up, right? So bringing the feminine qualities front and center to start creating some change that we need to see on every level, you know, from like the social to the cultural to the spiritual, even just to the personal level. So as we talk about balance throughout the 4 weeks of this program, the idea is to look at it from the lens of the masculine. And something that we'll talk about in the content for this month is this phrase toxic masculinity. And from my point of view, this is a super loaded term, and we have to use it mindfully. In other words, we just want to understand it before we start throwing it around. And so the toxic masculinity that is shaping or has shaped our society and our culture is like all of those masculine traits exaggerated to the point of harm. And it really just manifests as like oppression, control, and violence. Okay, so we can look at this for days, but it's masculine traits exaggerated to the point of harm. And there's a pressure on especially men to exhibit these traits, right? It's been connected to manliness. And this is not just about men. Women are also being subjected to take on toxic masculine traits. And so something for us all to be aware of as we navigate this content. Now, according to the yogic teachings, when we're talking about balance, what we're talking about is bringing our masculine and feminine into a state of balance. And then we can do this on a larger scale, like with the whole society, and we can do this inside of ourselves. And in fact, what's necessary is both. So when we think about balancing masculine and feminine, it's not about necessarily bringing them to the perfect level. It's about recognizing in ourselves, like, am I hyper masculine? Am I hyper feminine? And how do I balance best, right? If you're somebody who's an artist, okay, and you are naturally compelled to create art, it's a very feminine kind of profession. It's a feminine vocation that's going to rely heavily on those feminine traits, right? you're creating, you're using your imagination, you're channeling. This is a very feminine, like you're birthing creative ideas into the world. You could also be, a lawyer, or like you work with the law, or you work with numbers. Maybe you're a mathematician or something like that. This is a very masculine field. And so a person who's a mathematician is probably going to find more health with more masculine qualities in their life, although they still need the feminine. And then for the artist, right, the feminine qualities are going to be more helpful than the masculine, but we all still need both. And so finding that point of equanimity is looking at our own lives and seeing, where is the imbalance, right? Where am I overly masculine and where am I overly feminine? Where am I strongest and where am I needing a little bit of work? It tends to be true that all of us have challenges and all of us have obstacles in our lives, and that usually comes from too much of one side. So sometimes we think that our stuckness or our problems in life, if we could just force through it, if we could just push through in that masculine sense, then we'll arrive at a solution, when really what's needed is to pull back and to find rest and actually surrender, which would be retreating into the more feminine qualities. And the reverse is true. Sometimes we have this massive passion, this massive dream that we want to bring into fruition, and we're lacking the structure and the discipline that's needed. Right? We're lacking that masculine to bring forth the idea that's being held by the feminine. Okay, does this make sense? And so finding balance is really about looking inward and seeing, like, what is my stuckness really about? What are my problems really about? And can I tap into that other side, that less familiar, either divine or feminine territory, to find the progress and to find the evolution and expansion that I'm looking for. So the point is that we rarely are taking the time or learning that these two forces and these two energies are really critical for a healthy, balanced life. And this isn't anything more than just understanding ourselves on a deeper level. So the invitation for this month for this conscious living program is to take the time to really understand balance from the point of view of the divine masculine. See how you relate to the masculine, whether you're a man or a woman or however you identify. How are those masculine qualities sitting with you? What kind of work do you need to do there? Is it pulling back from them, or is it inviting them in a little bit more? And so this is how we'll play with establishing balance. And hopefully after these 2 months of programming, you're having a little bit more awareness about both the feminine and masculine inside of you, okay? So we've got 4 weeks. We're breaking this theme down to help us ourselves understand it with more clarity. As always, if you have any questions, if you need support, please reach out to me or Alyssa or anybody on the Ohana team, and we are so happy to dive deeper into this with you. So take care of yourselves, enjoy the program for the month, and we'll see you soon.